Hi, my name is Paul Bolter. I'm with the American Liver Foundation Greater New York Division. And I want to welcome you all today to the American Liver Foundation's World Hepatitis Day panel. Worldwide, 325 million people are living with viral hepatitis. 3.5 million here in the United States have hepatitis C, and millions don't even know they have it due to lack of testing, awareness, and access to care. Without finding the undiagnosed and linking them to care, millions will continue to suffer and lives will be lost. Also, 2.2 million people in the United States are living with hepatitis B, and over 100,000 in New York City alone. Nationally, this is an epidemic as well as globally. On World Hepatitis Day, July 28th, we call on people from across the world and all our communities to take action to raise awareness in finding the missing millions. In observance of World Hepatitis Day, we are going to share how we raise awareness about this epidemic to reach those that aren't available to have access to the internet, access to care, or community-based programs. I'm happy to have with me today two community advocates that work tirelessly raising awareness both locally and nationally. So let me introduce our panel. From the American Liver Foundation Helpline, we have Warren Hall, who's our National Manager of Support Services and Programs. Welcome. Thank you. And we have from the Latino Commission on AIDS, Luis Mares, the Director of Community Mobilization Programs. Welcome. Thank you. So I appreciate you guys joining us today. This is the first time we're doing a panel like this, and what a perfect day to do it, World Hepatitis Day. You know, many of us have been in this field a long time, and we've done a lot of work across the community. And we've done local advocacy, national, gone to Washington, but there are so many people out there that still aren't aware that they are living with hepatitis, whether it be hepatitis A, B, or C, and if they are living with hepatitis B or C, they aren't aware that there is treatment and that these diseases can be cured and treated. Not all diseases can be cured, but there is good treatment out there for folks living with multiple illnesses. And hopefully, you'll be able to get some information from us today that will help you to bring back to your community, bring back to your family, bring back to your employer. Testing is really key, and if you need more information about that, we'll give you that. So our first question is going to be to Warren, and I just want to ask if you could share how the National Helpline responds to people requesting information and support around hepatitis C.
Well, thank you, Paul, for allowing me to be part of this conversation. I should say this important conversation. Because on the helpline, we receive many inquiries from people around the United States and around the world. Because when they hear the word hepatitis, first of all, they're struck by it, meaning that they don't understand what it is. Not only that they have it or that a loved one has it. And so the first thing they want is information. What does this mean? And then after the what does this mean question, of course they want to know, how do I treat it? How do I cure it or get rid of it? And so when they contact us at the helpline, we're able to give them information that is not written for medical professionals. This is everyday wording on our information. It's so the average person can understand it, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for information that not only that is understandable for them, but then that they can pass on to others. This is where we hope that they become a resource for people in their own families and in their own neighborhoods. And so we not only have our own American Liver Foundation brochures about each of the viral hepatitis areas that they can use themselves, but then we can also direct them to other resources. We can direct them to the CDC, we can direct them to the National Institutes of Health if they want to get that much more in-depth in regard to this. We're able to give them some ideas about how are these things treated, what are the medications that are available. If there's not a medication available, what is it that they need to do with their lifestyle? You know, what is it maybe with nutrition or exercise that they need to do? And hopefully it's done in a way that's understandable, easy for them to apply to themselves, but then as we said, to then become a resource to other people who may come to them if they're facing the same type of diagnosis or somebody in their family is.
So that's great, but what languages, do you, aside from English, do you offer materials in various languages, and how do we get that out to people?
Right, many of our materials that we have are in English, but then Spanish is probably the most prevalent information that we do have, because so many of the people who contact us have Spanish as their first language. But then through our helpline, we are able to have translation services. So if people are speaking French or they're speaking Italian, we're able to use the translation services at least to help us to see what their needs are, what is it that they're asking, what their questions are, and then hopefully in their own languages, we'll be able to help them to quite understand hepatitis and all that's involved.
So for people that don't know, the helpline is a service that people call in.
Right.
And they, like you said, ask questions about the disease and treatments and stuff like that. But how does the helpline demonstrate awareness? What are the steps that you would do as you're taking these calls or outside of that to raise awareness?
Well, what we do is we let people know that there is information out there, that we do have the information. Hepatitis is not a mystery. And so therefore that's very calming for people, because when we say, okay, so let's see how we proceed with it, and automatically by them knowing that there are resources available, that we do have some answers for them. You can almost hear the relief in their voices if it's by a call.
Yeah.
So that they'll say, okay, I called the right place.
Right.
And then we give them that information, and people also contact us online through a live chat. And in the live chat, it's a little more difficult to get feeling, as we know. It's we're only getting their wording, but you can almost even sense in the responses that we get that there's a sense of relief that, wow, the information is out there, the information is available to me, and free, no matter where you are in the world, that we're able to offer these things to them.
Yeah, I imagine it must be, I know personally, it's very comforting to be able to speak to somebody on the phone, or at least know if there's a barrier. Whoever's on that phone will help me go beyond the barrier. Translation services, or if maybe I need to speak to a female to female, male to male. If it's a parent, the empathy that comes across when we take the calls. So I think that if there is any type of thing a national organization could do, having a national helpline is really one of the best ways to get and to make yourself so available to those that are maybe in a rural area that don't have a local health department, or they don't have access to a computer unless they go to the library.
Right.
So I think being able to pick up a phone, almost everybody has a phone, and if it's an 800 number, people can afford it, and I think it's easier access. So.
And I think that word you're using, access, is the important word there, because the information is readily available. Although if it's the first time you've ever heard of hepatitis yourself, you don't know that.
Right.
And so when you go online, we want to assure people that they do have access to this information, to good information, to information that's understandable, and then, as we said, hopefully they become the advocates in their own neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's great. It's very empowering. Thank you. So our next question is to Luis. Thank you again for being here as well. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about what the Latino Commission is doing, or what things they're involved in within the community, especially with the Hispanic population, which we know in many areas is underserved and often marginalized. And there's many challenges on reaching certain folks out there because of a lot of different things: documentation status, lack of insurance, English. It's just so many different barriers that folks have. And how are you and your team, creating awareness or reaching out to folks?
Well, thank you, Paul, for inviting us to Latino Commission. Nice to be here today for this video and share some information about the job, the work that we do on hepatitis in our community. It is a combined work that we do, not just awareness, but also advocacy. It is a lot of advocacy that we do for getting services provided to our community. As you mentioned, the Latino community is underserved in many aspects. There is a lack of services that are tailored directly to our community in Spanish. Many of our new immigrants only speak Spanish, and it is hard for them to get information about hepatitis or HIV or any other infectious disease that is part of this pandemic, syndemic that we have here in the States and in the world. Mm-hmm. So about hepatitis, we do a lot of things. I was mentioning, we do advocacy. We, together with different organizations in New York City and New York State, we go to Albany at the beginning of the year mostly, and advocate for services for our community, advocate for increasing budgets so more services are provided to citizens of the state to get access to services for hepatitis. We provide direct services also to people who come to our offices for get testing. And Oasis Wellness Center, which is located in 330 7th Avenue, we do testing and screening for hepatitis, and depending on the result, we connect them directly to services. We have a patient navigation service that guide people to be tested and according to what the results are, to get to, if positive, treatment, or if it's negative, information about how to prevent getting infected. And also, we have National Awareness Hispanic Hepatitis Day that we celebrate on May 15. And around the area, around the day, we connect with different organizations in the country, and we disseminate information in Spanish and in English to our community about testing, about how important it is to get tested for hepatitis, and information about prevention and information about treatment. Now that we have a cure for hepatitis C, we promote that people get tested for hepatitis C, and if they come positive, to get connected to treatment and cure if possible.
That's great. It's such needed services and very important services. What is the Latino Commission AID's placement or footprint in Puerto Rico or other parts of the United States where we know that there are services that aren't being met? Like in Puerto Rico, still recovering from their tragedy that happened there in their current state. What kind of services, are available to places like that have been so hard hit?
Yes, we are, as you know, we are based in New York City, but we are a national organization. We have offices in North Carolina, and we have, not an office, but we have people that work for us that live in Florida as well. So we have a connection with different parts of the country. We have a program which is Latinos in the South that focuses on creating services and disseminating information and creating awareness on HIV and hepatitis in the south of the country, which is from Virginia to Florida and to Texas. Mm-hmm. We don't have offices in Puerto Rico, but we have connection with different organizations in Puerto Rico, and we work together in trying to deliver services there too.
That's great, because there's so many areas across the world, within the United States as well, that may not have the actual community-based program, but have a partner mm-hmm. that is willing to share across the water, in local places, how we can provide you an education that you may not have. How do we want to help you raise awareness in your community? So I think it's a great resource for folks that are looking for information, because there's power in knowledge, there's power in information, and when you are powerless, people feel helpless. And I think when it comes to raising awareness, we all want to have that power so that nobody feels helpless.
Well, I think, Paul, and that's on the helpline too, is that the very first thing we want to do is we'll say, let us tell you about hepatitis, so that we can get the person to understand that it is something that you can understand. It takes kind of away the mystery of it, and when the mystery of what it is removed, a comfort level comes over somebody thinking, okay, I can deal with this. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really very important, is to let us tell you about hepatitis. Let's tell you what it is, and then we'll take it from there.
We, in May, as part of NHHAD, which is the National Hispanic Hepatitis Awareness Day again, we do deliver webinars. No, we bring people who knows more about hepatitis, and we organize webinars that are national, and we invite people from different organizations, and not only just providers, but also people from the community to be part of it and learn about hepatitis, what we can do, where they can be tested, and what treatment they can receive.
Yeah, it was a great experience for me providing a webinar with the Latino Commission on AIDS around hepatitis C and HIV co-infection, because we have two epidemics, and when someone is co-infected with HIV and Hep C, people often say, where do I fit in? I have both, or I'm living with both. And by working together and by partnering with other community-based organizations, again, it's more knowledge, there's more information, there's more inclusiveness, because living with an illness, any type of illness, is often a stigma that might be attached, or even a perceived stigma. we'd be surprised how many people are there to help us once we educate them on how we need help and what we need help with. Sometimes it is up to us to be the educator, the teacher, when we are the most vulnerable. Not everybody around the world is going to understand, or maybe within our families or our communities where, you know, HIV and hepatitis C are communicable diseases. So if there are people in our community that are living with hepatitis or HIV, it's a community disease. So I think, you know, this is great, and I hope everybody out there today is able to see that there are many ways you can be an advocate. There are many ways you can be a resource. There are many ways to raise awareness around viral hepatitis. And before we end, I'm going to put a call to action. If you liked anything about this information, I think it was a great panel, let us know. So contact us on social media, repost this on your social media, and also give a tip on how you're raising awareness. Give the people an actual example of what you're doing to raise awareness and to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. And with that, I just want to say thank you, Warren. It's been great. And thank you, Luis. And I want to ask Luis if he wants to end our panel today with a special message for the community.
En español.
Español.
Bueno, a todos los miembros de la comunidad latina hispana, no solo de Nueva York, sino del país entero, que sepan que es muy importante que se hagan la prueba de la hepatitis, que vayan a un proveedor de servicios donde puedan hacerse la prueba y saber si son positivos o negativos. Importante porque si son positivos es necesario que vayan a recibir tratamiento porque hay una cura para hepatitis C y hay tratamiento para hepatitis B. Eso no es una sentencia de muerte, pero si es que no se tratan, sí pueden progresar y complicarse y tener enfermedades que van a complicar la vida más. Recuerden que hay muchas personas infectadas que no lo saben y es muy importante encontrar a esas personas que están infectadas, no solamente para tratarlas y curarlas, sino para prevenir que esas personas puedan seguir contaminando a otras personas.
Thank you. So for more information on viral hepatitis, you can call our helpline at 1-800-GO-LIVER, or you can go on to the Latino Commission on AIDS website at latinocommissiononaids.org.
No, latinoaids.org.
Latinoaids.org. See, it takes a village. So thank you, and remember that we are all in this together. Hepatitis doesn't discriminate, and without your help, we can't find a cure.
And
Thank you.
Together we can do things better.
We can do much soon. Thank you.
Gracias.